Hello and welcome to Keep On Cybertruckin', a podcast where Cybertruck owners share their experiences, talk all things EVs and technology. My name's Eric. We have Chase. We got Will. Guys, how are you guys doing?
Doing well.
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty solid. It's hot as hell here, but it's okay.
Same here.
Well, okay. Segue a little bit.
Very
Chase
smooth.
asked me before we started how San Diego was because I was rushing back for the podcast in San Diego. That's why we started an hour later. I was really excited to go down there because, it's 10 to 15 degrees cooler. And as Will tell you, it's been really hot.
Freaking
lately.
merciless, man. Merciless out there.
So I was excited about that, but it still was hot down there. It was still, probably high 80s, but nowhere near what it's been up here for us. So
yeah,
it was fun. It was fun going down there. Busy day. I got the rack put on. My Cybertruck Co. Molly bed rack, and
Thank you.
I'm the first to have a Cybertruck Co. Molly bed rack that is not an employee. So they made sure to tell me that. I'm the first ever, so I'm very happy
That's
about
awesome.
that. Happy that it's a made in the USA product. I will say that.
Badass.
So I'm loving the bed rack, and I'm going to have a lot of content coming out showing the bed rack. So I'm excited. I'm excited to show, what it's all about, what I'm going to do to it. So that will be in the pipeline. So, but speaking of big news, which is, I think, the biggest news, something that we've all been speculating, and unfortunately looks like it's coming true. And that is the fact that FSD, once again, is being pushed back.
Yeah.
We keep talking about it. It's a weekly thing, right? We keep talking about it, that it was supposed to happen at the end of June. Then that didn't happen. So what were we doing? We were speculating 8.8, the Robotaxi event. That got pushed back. So then we went, okay, is that going to then... FSD going to get pushed back with Robotaxi to October? Well, Elon came out and said, no, it's going to happen in August. Well, we're in August. We're 1 week, about 10 days away from the end of August. And today, I am sorry that I'm not going to be able to pronounce this gentleman's name. I know he's the head of Autopilot, but Ashok? I don't know.
Pretty good. I think it's pretty close.
He went on to say on Twitter, on X, Cybertruck will start with parking assist features, given that it ain't exactly the easiest vehicle to park, which I have a lot to say about that. Initial release is slated for end of this week. That's for the parking assist. FSD for Cybertruck expected in September. So key things there. Expected is the key word. Right? Expected in September. Not saying it will happen, but expected. And then I have a little opinion on this about, he's saying that the Cybertruck isn't easy to park. I think it's extremely easy to park. I've had many trucks, and trucks aren't usually the easiest to park. And I think that the Cybertruck is extremely easy to park. What do you guys say about that, first of all?
Same. Yeah, it's almost kind of laughable that they would say, like, "Oh, we need to get this out first." Like,
I think
it's so difficult to park. Yeah, like, but I kind of want to know, like, is he going to get fired the next day for putting out this information? Like, how does this information get like approved? Because this is like big news, and he's just like,
huge.
"Oh yeah, here's a I'm going to drop a bomb in my tweets or X posts."
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's at liberty to be giving out this information. I don't know. I'm not part of Tesla. I have no idea, but it is big news for him to be, I guess, announcing this and not Elon. But maybe they wanted it to come from somebody else's mouth, not Elon's. I'm not sure, but I don't know, guys. I mean, another delay.
So, worth mentioning, I think that, again, I apologize for any disrespect from mispronouncing this name, but I believe that Ashok has posted before in the past about full self-driving delivery timelines. I believe that when in the run up to V12, I want to say I saw a tweet or two of his that got some popularity about when it was coming and stuff. So I think that especially in the so let's say if Tesla really counted on those FSD sales, and they were just trying to find newer and newer ways to kind of keep everybody's interest while they're trying to make it the next mile or however much further it is to get to the next level of autonomy, that they can start pushing robotaxi and stuff. So let's say that there's started to be a lag. So it would make sense that they would probably start to coordinate a little bit, considering that Elon's been the one who tweets most aggressively in the past, to the point where it's like, I think that maybe, everyone's like, we should get a second opinion on this. And I think that he may, and there is no better second opinion than probably the guy that's on the team. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine that they probably have some executive level communication, even if it's just like a short something with each other, where they're like, okay, who's allowed to talk about FSD on their social medias right now? Who can put what when? And they'll just say, okay, right now, if anyone's going to talk, put end of September. And that way, just everybody's kind of on the same page of what kind of, what they're prognosticating, but they're all equally wrong if they're wrong. So then it doesn't spark off what did he know versus what did Elon know or something like that. But to go back to the Cybertruck parking it thing, I thought it was amazingly easy, especially with the steer by wire and the rear wheel steering. You actually have to be more careful about getting overconfident the first couple of times you back it in, I think, because you really can feel just how agile it was, that you start overcorrecting too much a little bit, and then suddenly you're like, well, wait, hang on, let me just, in the name of caution, you got to slow it down a little bit because it was that good of vision. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say was as far as parking the Cybertruck goes, the one thing I was disappointed in that is present in Rivian, and then also in this absolute turd that I'm renting right now because my Rivian's getting fixed, so I've got a Ford Mach-E, which sucks. I hate it every day. It's the worst. Anyway, it has this other feature that Rivian has, which is this really cool 360 view stitched. It does like a bird's eye view down, and it has a really nicely done 360-degree view that you can actually, it's really pretty accurate as far as just backing into spaces and stuff. I was pretty surprised that the Cybertruck didn't have that, because that's actually pretty badass, even for a fucky to have.
So your Rivian is in service, you said?
Yeah, so I didn't know if you knew this, but some of the other manufacturers have panel alignment issues. It's not just a Tesla thing. Tesla isn't just everybody over on that. That's something everybody suffers from. So my passenger front side door on the Rivian, every time you opened it, it was so close. It had like no tolerance, where every time it would open, it would kind of, my nails look terrible. Sorry, Jesus. The door would creak against the the front quarter panel, and over time it was bending it and scratching the paint and everything. And I originally tried to make the appointment, I think back in June, and the first appointment I could get was about on August 16th. Also, people who complain about service wait times for Tesla, this is where it is in other smaller startup EV manufacturers. So Tesla's come a long way. They still got a lot of way to go, but that's still.
Well, I was going to ask you, when you said that it's in service, I said, did you go through a car wash? Like, what happened?
I did. it rained, and then it, killed my whole family. It was terrible.
Bricked it?
No, I couldn't drive. It sucked. No. It was just the quarter panel, and, had to wait 2 months to get to it. But so now I'm driving a Ford Mach-E for the whole week.
So you're driving the Ford Mach-E. You have a Model Y, right?
Yes.
So they're supposed to be competing against each other, right? Supposed to be. Can you dive into that a little bit? Can you give us a little rundown, a little comparison, space, comfort, features, any of that type of stuff?
I could try and pull up the exact number. Hang on one sec. Yeah.
Hugo's in chat. So what's up, Hugo?
What up, Hugo?
What's going
on? So my wife, she has the Model Y, and the Model Y, I believe, has something like 320 miles of range on 100% battery. Yeah, the Ford Mach-E is about 200. It's about 210 miles on 100% battery. So that's That's like pre 2014 EVs. That's back when like the VW Golf was like 90. The e-Golf, I think, was like 95 miles of range, or you could buy the range extender and get it to 135 miles, whopping 135 miles. I got, and the funny thing is, it's like, if you were to put me blindfolded for a ride along, aside from the brakes, I would say that they feel very much like the same car. I mean, it's an EV, short wheelbase, light, kind of top heavier than a coupe or something, or something like the Model 3 is, but still they both handle exactly the same. They both have the same feel in the springs and all. So they're basically the same. Zoom zoom, go here, stop, get out. They feel the same that way. The brakes are amazingly bad. The braking in a Mach-E, and I'm like, it basically takes you back to like when you would drive a car that you knew the brakes were too tight. They just a new car to use, so you're trying to find where that sweet spot is in the brake, and you tap it a little too much, and suddenly like, oh man, oh wow. Like every minute with the freaking Mach-E, every time you touch the brake, you're like, is this the one? Oh god, okay, no, that was it. Sorry. It's just way too mechanical, way too. And it's only the one pedal drive mode, their regen. I've toyed with the Rivians, like high regen and regular regen modes, and then I think on the Tesla they all have, you can change the regen aggressiveness to either like more preserved battery or just whatever. And this thing still like coasts, like it's almost got like an idle mode or something. It's just so jarring to be like, oh, this is an EV, but it's doing all these stupid things that older cars do. I don't know why.
Yeah, so it's an EV. So you say it for the most part drives like an EV, but it's just behind the times, I guess.
The interior experience is like, maybe someone's gonna punch me in the face for this. That just reminds me of like a Prius. The interior. Okay, so I should have taken a picture. I don't know if I should have. Maybe I did. It's got a screen. Like Ford, the guys they got all the really well paid executives. Like, guys, what do we need this for? They're like, well, the Tesla has a goddamn gigantic screen. They're like, perfect. We're gonna put a giant goddamn screen. But what if they don't know where to change the volume in this car? That could be a real problem. We got a lot of people getting into Teslas and having no idea how to change the volume. So we better put a giant dial. Where could we put it? Limitless countertop space all over the interior, any number of places. They could have just put it electronically inside. No, where they put a giant dial like right onto the screen. So that they mounted an LCD that was custom made to allow for some sort of a dial to mount to the front of it. But the LCD, when it first boots up, you can still see the generic boot screen awash across all of it. So that it's just like mounted in, and they definitely customized it to accommodate this stupid goddamn dial that's in the middle of the screen. And then the rest of it is just Android Auto. Like, really, that's just I'm like, okay, thank God for Android Auto, because otherwise I would feel like I was driving like a 63 Volkswagen. It's just, I don't like it. I hate it. I don't want it. Anyway.
So for anybody that's getting here a little late, Jay's in chat. So what's up, Jay?
What up, Jay?
Will's Rivian is in service because he went through a car wash, and they gave him a Ford Mach-E as a loaner, and he is clearly enjoying his time with that vehicle. So he's sharing his experience with all of us. So that's how.
As soon as I saw it, I kind of swore off the Mach-E because of the looks of the body. Like, I don't know why they went with a hatchback. Like, it's a Mustang. Why not make it look like an EV Mustang? Like, they're trying to reach outside of their scope, I feel like. And honestly, it looks like if a Mustang, turned 40 and decided to settle. It's not a Mustang anymore.
I will say this. I was shocked how small the interior is, honestly. Like, compared to the Model Y feels like it's got space to it. It's got leg room. It's got all of that feel to it. This thing, I will give the Mach-E only one compliment, and that is I feel like the visibility is better, but that's probably because it is smaller, or at least the windows make it feel smaller for where you sit. It's got this tiny little hood, like this little bonnet thing going. So you're like, okay, we're already kind of short. Then you turn around, you can see really, really well into your blind spot. And the thing is, behind the back row, like, the car ends very quickly. So it's not difficult to see out of, like a lot of other EVs, I feel. Like, if you've ever driven a Model S, you're like, I can't see with my eyes out of this goddamn car anywhere. But yeah. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
So what you were just saying is that you love the Mach-E. So moving past that,
I can't imagine what their truck is like.
well, you know what? Real quick, because Chase said something. So do you think it's less of the looks of the Mach-E and more that they named it the Mustang Mach-E?
I believe so. If it was the Ford Mach-E,
yeah,
that would be the thing, because they're calling it a Mustang. So
yeah, I agree with you.
You could tell that they're like inspired by the Mustang kind of design and feel. But this should have came out after the actual like EV Mustang.
Yep, I agree.
I'm shocked that they made it after the Model Y. It's like the Model Y is the car that it's clearly trying to be, but it also has that half-assed vibe of being like, yeah, these tree-hugging hippies who want EVs, they just want some stupid car that looks like a roller skater or a croc. You know, they want something stupid and they don't mind aesthetics. They don't care that the car looks like shit. So, because it does.
Tell us how you really feel.
I'm sorry. It's like I was thinking about it before because I got into the car and I'm like, I have respected the Mustang series for a long time. Like, I think years and years ago, one of my mom's best friends growing up, she had one. I think that my mom's sister even had one. I mean, I've always loved like the 80s, the Fox body, the Ford 5.0 look, and I feel like they've always tried to hold that at least as we did that right. Cool. Let's, the Mustang's almost like an American staple. But
yeah, exactly.
Getting into this car, I'm kind of like, this is kind of sad.
It's like they weren't serious about getting into EVs by making this. Like, if anything,
that's it.
The Ford Lightning was a better step in the way, but correct me if I'm wrong. The Mach-E actually came out before the Lightning.
Yes,
right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. So it's like they did the bare minimum. You're like, hey, we have an EV, and then Cybertruck got announced, and they're like, oh shit, we got to actually do something.
Well,
so like,
I think
Ford Lightning. Here you go.
I think that was kind of what happened initially, is when Tesla really started gaining traction, and especially when the Model 3 came out. I feel like the knee-jerk reaction from a lot of the legacy automakers was, let's just get something out there. I truly feel like, not knocking the Lightning, because I've been in it, I've touched it, I felt it, I've seen it up close, but I haven't driven it. But from people who have owned one and people that know them very well, that have driven them, they've told me it's just a Ford F-150 that they just took out engine and put batteries in.
Yeah.
And put some motors. They did nothing different to it other than that. There was no innovation in it. Yeah, maybe it's a great truck. I don't know, but it's just real lazy, I guess is the way to say it. They were real lazy with that. And
it's because they don't want to sell them.
And it sounds like
they don't want to sell
Mach-E is the same way, right?
Yeah. It's one of those things that it's like, okay, yeah, somebody said, get me pictures of the Spider-Man. So they went out and they made they just made an EV. They took the engine out of the engine bay and they say, okay, how do we make it go? Okay, strap some motors back here. Cool. We put on a battery. Cool. We let it go out the door. Bam. There's no talk about like optimizing the car for efficiency. I mean, the fact that I know that the Mach-E is still doing, software updates. So I know that it's within their capacity to software wise solve some of their range problem or some of that optimization of the battery that maybe it's in there, maybe it's not. I don't know the size of the battery. Maybe that's something I should look up in a second, what the size of the battery is in the Mach-E. But the fact that it has such piss poor range and, kind of unimpressive everything, it just reminds me of where things were with the hybrids before there were any real EVs out there. They just made them aesthetically look as unappealing as possible, knowing that they would only sell them to people who were interested in the practicality of an EV or a climate conscious, environmentally friendly car, whatever. Meanwhile, you've got Tesla literally making cars that look like sports cars, like lightning fast sports cars that you want to drive. Spaceships. And I mean, they're whatever you think the Cybertruck looks like, and keep it friendly. But I just think that every time that I see one of these cars, and I'm like, they're not taking this seriously at all. They don't give a shit. They don't want to.
Go ahead.
They don't give a shit if they sell one, apparently.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. I don't think they're getting a good margin on it, if any, at all. And I think that they approached the design like they weren't going to sell many.
It's almost like they were already waving the white flag as they were delivering them to customers.
Or they just knew that's like, you know what, we're gonna make some. I think that I want to say that somebody said that the main thing with EVs and the adoption and then auto manufacturers is that they don't want to make something that's going to jeopardize what their sales are on their non-EV line, which is their core business. So they don't want to undermine themselves. Because they've already got a thing set up where it's like, oh, you need something with 4 doors. Well, we have the low cost one, the mid cost one, and we got the high cost one. You need a truck. We've got this, and this. They don't want to pull away from that simple process of upselling, being like, well, it sounds like if you need the GPS and the other thing, you may want to consider going to the EX from the SX. I mean, that might be the right way to go. That process doesn't happen with EVs, also because they're not largely sold from a lot where you're like, be lucky if there's one sitting here. You order it and you can get pretty much what you want.
Yeah, I think the only step that I'm interested in is the electric Raptor. I think that's kind of their course correction, at least for Ford specifically, because they saw the Cybertruck come out and they're like, okay, let's expedite this. This thing can actually do things off road that our Raptors could do for cheaper than you could buy a Raptor. So Raptor R. I have to be specific.
Yeah, no, 100%. But and I do agree with that. I think the Raptor for Ford, Raptor EV, is probably, hopefully, going to be their most serious attempt at actually selling EVs. And going back to what Will was saying, I do agree. I don't think Ford is looking at the Lightning and going, hey, let's convert F-150 owners into Lightning owners. I don't think that. They want nothing to do with that. I think they want to continue selling the ICE F-150s to people who have older ICE F-150s. And they kind of look at it like, well, whoever buys a Lightning, great. That's an extra customer. But we're not trying to convert anybody.
That's something I'll pull it up. So that's one thing that I think I'll give some credit for on the flip side. So you have Ford versus Chevy. Because with their Silverado EV is actually, I think, well. So like I just Googled right now, and
I like that truck.
You can get 2024 Chevy Silverado EV right now for $67,400 MSRP. Well, MSRP is $75,000, but so it's selling new under MSRP, which for what it can do, you have over 400 mile range, and all of the storage capability. You could fold down the back wall of the cab, and you can extend 10 feet from inside of the cab all the way out to the bed. All of these things I think are really well capable for a truck that's under 70 grand. And it's an EV with a really long range. Hopefully the towing is up there as well. The Cybertruck, and you ripped out all of the off-road capability, you basically would get a really good deal out of the Silverado EV for.
No, I agree that the Silverado EV is something that I love. I love the look of it. I think that they put a lot of things into that truck that I wish Tesla would have put it into the Cybertruck. That mid gate that goes down and opens up the cab into the bed. I love that. There's a lot of things that I like that they did. Now, getting into the range, I do love the fact that they're over 400 mile range, but this is a good segue into the first Cybertruck that I've seen that has the street tires, right? And it's coming with the covers. What are these covers technically called? They're the aero covers, but for the street tires. And this Cybertruck owner is stating that in their initial tests that they're getting somewhere between 370 to 400 miles of range.
That's big.
With the street tires. That is huge.
Wow.
That's more than what they even estimated when they sold it, because they were telling us 340.
Exactly. So is it a combination with the new battery construction? Is it, or is it just the tires? The tires make that big of a difference. What do you guys think?
I think, a little bit of both, because the aero caps are also kind of inset. And not to spoil anything, but I've got new wheels coming from T-Sport line we haven't put on yet. But one of the reasons why I'm excited about those is because the aero caps of those wheels are actually more inset into the tire.
Yeah. So
you don't have as much, sideways friction down the road.
100%.
I mean, something to always consider with EVs is that when it comes to driving range, everything speaks through the language of the tires, the weight of the wheels. That's how you go, that's how you stop. So I mean, the main purpose of the car is to go, So moving those tires with the least amount of rotational inertia possible that you have to overcome means better mileage. So getting lighter tires will always improve the range. Getting smaller tires will always improve the range. That's just like the physics of it. But I mean, absolutely, I believe that, you could put, I'm waiting to see somebody put like, really embarrassingly tiny wheels on the Cybertruck and then be like, yeah, guys, I got like 600 miles on this. And be like, okay, good work, man.
Driving with some little donuts.
Just like put 21-inch wheels or something like that, with like no face to it.
18-inch rims.
Yes,
It doesn't mention the size of these tires. I mean, they look proportioned to the all-terrains, right?
They look a bit smaller.
Yeah, they might be like a little bit 30. Smaller? They might be 31s. So I had to guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could make a big difference too between
100%.
34-inch tires and 31 inches. That's
unfortunately this picture doesn't show you any of the information.
I was going to talk about the extra 3 inches. My wife told me I can't talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, so the thing is, like, and I keep making the joke ever since we saw the announcement of the design of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that they look god awful, and then I just didn't want to come on here and be like, I hate them, I don't want them, blah blah blah. But I'll tell you why they look god awful, and this is scientifically, artistically, whatever you want to think. The thing about the Cybertruck and then what makes it so amazing is that there's no curves. Everything's a straight line. There's straight lines and angles everywhere. And there's nothing circular outside of actually the tire itself, even on the other aero caps. But this aero cap, because it cut out all of those extra tabs, now the aero cap itself accentuates the fact that it's a circle. So you see a circle on a very angular truck, and that's what in your brain kind of disconnects the total package of the design. So there you go. And I'll back that up with if you know the really cheap like covers that we've gotten to fill the caps on the OEM wheels.
Yeah,
there's some that you can get on Amazon that like look smooth, and then they have like a little circle in the middle, and those actually give you the same like negative reaction because again you see a circle on something that doesn't have any circles or any curves, and it looks bad. It looks off.
Well, hopefully we don't need. Well, yeah, I guess we don't need it because I guess I'm still going to get them to wait much longer for our aero covers because apparently somebody picked up their Cyber Beast and they're in love with it. But if you notice, this is a new delivery. They have
Shake my head.
They have the aero.
Oh, okay.
So right there, you can see, and if you really look closely, it looks like they cut down those pieces that were cutting into the tires. They're shorter. Sure. And that's kind of their fix. Other than that, I mean, they look almost identical to the ones that I have. Yeah, I rubbed that in everyone's face.
Yeah,
I wonder if I want to come down. Yeah, well, I'm curious because it's like I wonder if they made the if the little spokes, as you will, if they cut the ends of them off, or if they just shrunk down overall diameter of a tiny bit. Because then it wouldn't be in line with those grooves, and then the danger of puncturing wouldn't as much be there. But I don't know. I guess this photo's hard to say.
But to beat a dead horse here, on the design aspect, you don't get that accentuation of circles except for the tires themselves. That's the only thing. It's circular on the entire vehicle. And I'm pretty sure that's the case for literally the entire design. I don't remember if I'm misremembering that or not. But
no, I believe you're right. I'm pretty sure you're right that they didn't want any curves whatsoever on the Cybertruck. They wanted everything to be straight edges and lines, and
But what you're telling me is I need to go return my Cybertruck and buy a new one, and then they'll give me the aero caps.
If you really want your aero covers that bad,
to get their attention.
I mean, I've been asking for aero covers since this podcast even started. So, like,
you have. We're on episode 23. Congratulations,
which
gentlemen.
is 22 or 23, probably plus weeks. We had a couple minutes.
Like, give them
24 weeks.
Yeah,
I've been waiting.
100%. That's a long time.
Gimme.
24 weeks, 25 weeks, whatever it's been.
Yeah.
Of no FSD.
Oh,
no FSD.
It's an ASMR podcast.
We're supposed to get in June, right?
Well, we
were June, and then it was August, and then it was September.
Are we going to go back to that?
I don't want to be a stickler or anything, but it should have thumb with it. But
Well, that's So anybody that's late to the party, we did talk about it. So once the podcast, once I upload it in its entirety, you'll be able to hear the initial thoughts. But yes, FSD has been delayed again to September. So, we already talked about it.
And again, that's not even like a firm September. That's like a
expected
September. Sure.
And apparently the Cybertruck, Jay, everybody in chat, whoever, all you guys, if you have a Cybertruck, please let us know in chat. He goes on to say that they're going to come out with parking assistance features first because the Cybertruck is difficult to park.
Bullshit.
Will, Chase, and I already discussed it, but we disagree with that statement wholeheartedly. Cybertruck is not difficult to park in our opinions. Go ahead and let us know in chat if you agree with us or if you agree with him. Moving on from that, though, wanted to talk about some accessories that have come out. One thing, the big thing about Tesla, one of the really cool things about Tesla, in my personal opinion, is the fact that you get all these third parties that come out with all these really cool, sometimes not so cool, but most part, they're really cool accessories. We've talked at length about Chase's light bar, but T-Sports line, Chase's new buddies, are coming out with custom interior Cybertrucks. So they're going to change the whole interior of your Cybertruck with a bunch of different colors. They have tan, they have red, they have black, and they have green. Not too sure how I feel about green, but let's go ahead and play this video.
I really wonder how they're doing this. There's no way that they're swapping out the leather unless they are, and they're stretching it over. And my best guess is maybe that they're taking off the interior, taking off the leather, and maybe dyeing it, and then reapplying it. Did they show? It looks cool. I think this is a great kind of customization that I feel like Tesla should have offered or should offer in the future.
I wonder if it says right here, reupholstered.
Reupholstered.
So
there you go.
They're reupholstering the seats. That's actually really cool. Mm-hmm. That two-tone seat.
Yeah, I've seen some seat covers that try to do that. They just look tacky because it's not actually the upholstery.
I'm not a big fan on seat covers, but I will say this: when I went off-roading, my interior was disgusting. I wish I had seat covers. Oh, you see right there, the seats are
there we go.
Taken out. So yeah, they're full-on reupholstering them.
Wow,
I'm into that. If they're reupholstering them, they're not a cover.
That's cool.
I can get down with that. That's actually pretty cool. Nice custom look.
Good little segue. Notice how the not segue just yet, but front triangle panels, how they were pulled off when they pulled out. If you back up a few seconds, a couple of the trucks, all of their.
I'll just go right.
Yeah, right through here. You can see right there, that shot right there.
Ugh.
I know, sorry.
No, you're good.
As it goes by, you can see right there how those the trim panels, they have it pulled off and separated. And we'll talk about that in a second. But that caught my eye. Yeah, right there. On both sides.
You're right. Well, it looks like they're going to wrap the truck. So I'm assuming they're separating it to get the wrap in there.
Could be, yeah.
Because they have the wheel flares off, which is a typical thing for wrapping. Yeah, you're right. Did you want to get into that?
That's
Chase?
A great segue.
I think so as well.
It freaked me out this week. I shaded the pictures in the Discord. Yeah, I basically walked past that pillar one day this week and noticed that I had a pretty significant gap that came up on that piece specifically, and so much so that I could actually
this is the fixed version.
This is the fixed version. Yeah. But I could push that piece in. I could feel it had some give and some squish to it, which I'm this is not right. So at first I thought, okay, there must have been maybe some Loctite or something that glued or clipped that piece in. They had broken. I had suspected maybe I had messed up and broke something when I jumped it, which is a fair assessment.
Mm-hmm.
I even went back through all of the photos because I've got so many photos with both Turo and other things to verify. But turns out, and this is kind of a hard photo to see, but in the very center of the photo, I don't know if you can even zoom in or not. Yeah, you can see the bolt right there, kind of towards the bottom left. Yeah, there's actually a bolt and then a nut that screws together, and you can kind of see the panel and the gap there of how much of a give that I was able to push. Mm-hmm. I was able to find this bolt and figure out that, oh, I just need to like tighten that back down. So I was able to actually like push it in, tighten down the bolt, and it's back to where it's supposed to be. Tighten it here? Yep, that nut right there. Yep.
Okay.
So if you ever have any kind of like gap separation, those pillar arms, I think they're actually specifically called contrails if you're looking in the manual. It's an easy fix, and that's probably what T-Sport line is doing. They're actually going in and unscrewing that bolt, pulling it out a little bit just so they can get access to those edges and then make sure the wrap goes around those edges, which is pretty smart because that gap right there is really tight.
That is really tight. I actually, after you let us know about your issue, I ran out and looked at my truck because I always wondered that. I always wondered, like, how do they wrap this? You know, because it's almost like mine it's slightly overlapping.
Almost perfect.
Yeah. But I think mine, I don't know. I'll send a picture later. But I feel like it's almost like very, very slightly overlapping. It's like that tight of, maybe like you said, maybe it's just that perfect. You know, there's like no gap whatsoever. But I mean, the wrap, what they did a great job. But so I ran out there and I was like, let me check mine and make sure mine are good, and they're fine so far. So let's hope, you know. But
yeah, when I did check the footage and check the photos, at least before I jumped there was a bit of a gap, but it wasn't that much of a gap. But then after about 10 jumps, it definitely came more and more loose. Check your bolts.
Yep. Another accessory that I want to talk about real quick is, do you see that? It's not loading yet. Is I don't know why it's not doing it, but the Cybertruck cooler.
Yeah. For $700.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? It's $700, and you're not getting a refrigerator. You're getting a cooler. And I mean, I would be all in if it was a refrigerator.
Same, 100%.
Yeah, if it had a cooling capability.
Yeah, it was plug it in, and then it even had like a battery that you could like have it cool for like 2 hours or something off of the battery or something.
Yep.
There's so many things they could have done.
And of course, it's out of stock, right?
Yeah, because people are buying it somehow.
So here it is right here. Here's the cooler. It fits into the frunk. Okay, I know I'm nitpicking, but I even don't like the fitment.
Well, it's got grooves on the bottom that actually match the grooves in the front. Yeah. So it is a tight fit. It doesn't rattle around, that's a great design.
It's not going to slide around. I agree with you. It's nice. I like how thick the outer walls are, right? So the insulation should be fairly good. But once again, I mean, $700 for a cooler just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think it's cool. It's definitely a talking piece. You know, you pull it out, you go to the beach.
My kids would love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
It matches the whole like
$700 worth of beer in there too.
Ow! I think that it matches nicely with the whole, like, you know, Tesla was kind of hoping for like the Cybertruck to be a cultural phenomenon, kind of in the more positive way. And I mean, a lot of the resentment and stuff that they've gotten has made a lot of these kind of just seem kind of like, really, like you're going to do a $700 cooler or whatever. But it's like, you know, I mean, it's a part of the whole first year of it coming out and be like, these are cool items. Nobody else is making this right now. So, you know, somebody wants it, buy it. Otherwise, stick with your
a really cool feature inside. If you scroll over a couple of images, the divider panels are actually like cooler pads, so you could throw those in the freezer and they act as coolers. Yeah, I think that was a great design choice. Like more coolers should come with that. So you don't need as much ice. Cool. And then I other than the price, as is, I would probably pay maybe $300. Like Yeti coolers and those things are really expensive, but $300 for this I think is a fair price. Maybe $350.
I was going to say I think about $350. I think $350 is like maybe pushing it a little bit, but I think that's a fair, because like what you just said, if you're going to compare it to Yeti or some of these other big name cooler companies, if it can do the same job, then at $350 I think it's worth it. You know, maybe even if you want to push it to $400, people are going to buy it. But I mean, $700 is sold out. So. True. What the hell do we know?
My issue is that I would have to wrap it.
So when we were talking, and I saw this right here, I was like, dude, they really did a nice job on that stainless steel.
The stainless steel, yeah.
But I would need to wrap it. It's not gonna fit. It's not gonna work for me.
Even
it's
empty,
cool.
that's got to be like 40 pounds too, with all the stainless steel.
Well, right here it says 31 pounds.
31.
Yeah,
all right,
31
good
pounds.
estimate. Good estimate.
Yep. So Hugo in chat says way too expensive, and Jay says no, thank you. So
yeah,
the people have spoken. So moving on from the Cybertruck cooler, we're gonna get into Will is finally not having to sweat bullets, because I know he was shaking his boots because he sold his Cybertruck and he had that clause. Well, guess what? They've removed the clause.
I was waiting
for new Cybertruck owners that there's no longer the stipulation that if you were to sell your Cybertruck within a certain, 1 year, that you can be sued. And I believe the lawsuit, what they stated was it could be $50,000 or whatever your profits were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
if it was greater than $50,000. So they finally got rid of that, which we have talked about in the early days of the podcast, which we thought was ridiculous. We haven't heard of anybody actually being sued. Had one guy they took away his reservations because he had multiple Cybertrucks.
They canceled his additional reservations after they found out that he had sold it.
And that's probably I think that's the only guy we've heard of, right?
Correct.
The only case I've heard of.
So I don't think they were really holding true to that, but at least now they've eliminated that. It's no longer there. So anybody who wants to go buy a Cybertruck and resell it, have at it. Don't know if
I think that they were mostly just hedging their bets against the possibility that they weren't able to reach a capacity that they wanted to reach. So therefore, it would become a limited item. People would be able to scalp them for the entire year, as opposed to we've already seen like the used sales market kind of hit that parity point where it's like if you try to sell it, you're not going to be making money anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of Will and his Cybertruck, his Cybertruck.
What have you heard?
His Cybertruck has come up in the news. Apparently, got shipped overseas.
Shit.
What were they thinking?
So part of the what were they thinking / Will is terrified that his Cybertruck is overseas.
Did they warn him about the lug nuts is all I'm worried about. I mean, the dude obviously he's worried about safety. I mean, somebody should tell him.
I'm surprised the wheels even stayed on by the time we got overseas.
Oh my gosh.
So go ahead, Chase. Explain what's going on here.
So this is, I forget what's his name, but he's like the leader of Chechnya, whatever, in Russia. I'm just going to bastardize that. Basically a Russian military leader, give or take. But they, obviously have a Cybertruck, but they have what's interesting to me, they have a mounted PKM in the back of that. That's a giant ass machine gun that shoots basically the Russian equivalent of a 308, I believe. I forget, I think it's, whatever it is, 760 by 51R or whatever. I don't know. I haven't played Tarkov in a while. But what's cool in this, that's the box magazine. What's cool about this, look at the mount. So the mount itself is like an angular mount, so it gives enough room for someone to stand in there. So they really thought about this, and this is kind of cool because I've always had, my dream is to put like a 50 cal in the back of the Cybertruck. I think that would look awesome. Like an American one, though, not a Russian one. But the mount is forward positioned so that you can have someone standing back there and actually manipulating the machine gun. And it looks to be where they've actually mounted it just lower than the tonneau cover, and you can actually take off the T part of the mount so that you could stow this away and actually close the tonneau cover, which is another kind of added feature. No license plates, by the way. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I thought it was kind of impressive that they actually had thought about this practically and not just like a PR stunt of like, hey, let's just put a machine gun on, put the machine gun on the Cybertruck, and then that's the whole thing. Because that's really what this is. It's a PR thing.
That's all it is. Oh, that's all it is. And
it's clearly not my Cybertruck. It's got all the lug nuts. I can see him right there.
You can see them there.
Well, Jay's in chat. He's asking, Will shipped his Cybertruck to Russia? No, Will. Jay, Will did not ship it off to Russia. We were just messing around, giving
the place where I sold it. I'd give it 60-40.
Possibility
60 that it stayed here in the States, 40%.
This guy has it.
It's that dude. I mean, hey, I'm just gonna say, whoa.
Those are the bullets. Mind. There you go.
If he had just asked me, I would have sold it right to him. Shit, bro.
He would have paid you a lot more. I guarantee.
I know.
That.
I'd be like, can I just come over and like just squeeze off a few buckets? I mean, hell, look at that thing.
It's monstrous.
Yeah, we need some Soviet era machine guns in our Cybertrucks. The future is awesome, guys.
The funny part though was Elon's
response. Yeah,
response
because people thought literally he actually sent one, because like you can see in the original post, he says, "Thank you, Elon," or "Elon, thank you," and people were like, "Elon sent him a Cybertruck. What do you like?" No.
Yeah. So Elon's response was, "Are you seriously so?" I don't know if I should be saying retarded, but that's what he said. That's what he said.
He's quoting him accurately.
I'm going to quote it accurately. I'm a journalist.
I don't know if I should say
guys?
retarded.
I'm a journalist now.
Guys, can I say retarded? I'll do it anyway.
Yeah. That you think I donated a Cybertruck to a Russian general. That's amazing.
There you go. It's hilarious. Nonetheless.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. But the good news is there's a third-party aftermarket company that's going to be putting PKMs in the state of Texas on all the Cybertrucks out there. So everybody out there, go ahead. Go to there's a shop. I'll leave it in the description, and you can go ahead and link up with those guys.
I'll call T-Sport Line and be like, "Hey, I got an idea."
I'm joking. So
no. What you need to do is for the thumbnail of this podcast, if you like have the image of that, and then Will like
and then put on there, Will Cybertruck is in Russia.
Exactly.
Yeah, my face.
Will sold his Cybertruck to Russia.
But if, it's one of those things, Russia's putting PKMs on the back of Cybertrucks. And so we need to counter that, right? And the way we're going to counter it is through our buddies at Unplugged.
There you go.
They are coming up with truly bulletproof, not 50 cal, but up to 7.62.
That's all you need.
Yeah, for the most part, you're right.
Maybe it's just the stoner in me, but when you said that we have to design one for Americans, for some reason my brain was like, what if we put a t-shirt cannon in it? That'd be awesome.
And, hey, there you go. And then when we go to Texas, you can jump in the back and shoot t-shirts out to people on the side of the road.
Yeah.
But Unplugged performance. I mean, these things look sweet. You have to admit, these things look really, really cool. And they have 3 different configurations on with different varying features. And so what they're calling them is the Sting. So there's the Sting Baja, which is, let's go ahead and read it. This package includes the Invincible off-road package, ensuring the Cybertruck can conquer the most rugged terrains. The Baja variant adds the Amp Drive G125, a compact, lightweight, frunk-mounted aviation-derived 800-volt genset designed to run on jet fuel.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. This is, you guys can see there's so much going on here. So that's the Baja. There's the Sting Protector, which this is the one that has this advanced armor, specifically designed to withstand 7.62 assault rifle rounds, providing critical protection from key azimuths during engagements. Okay. The Sting APC, ultimate defense upgrade, offering enhanced IED mine protection, an upgraded bolt-on, bolt-off external offset steel. It can withstand heavy machine gun rounds of 14.5 millimeters. So this, they're going crazy, and you can actually pre-order this stuff. So there's a whole thing right here. You can pre-order your Unplugged Performance, a zombie apocalyptic trucks package.
It's pretty cool because if you think about it, the fact that they already have like the Cybertruck stainless steel as the inner core. Like if you're adding on layers of armor, you don't really need to add on a whole lot of armor on the outside to be able to really make it like impenetrable for higher calibers, because like what they're probably doing is that they're taking another layer of stainless steel and then just slapping it on the outside, but in the gaps between that, if they just put ceramic coating or plates, like everything is gonna like hit that first level, hit the ceramic, and then any kind of sprawl or anything that's left is going to get stopped by that inner stainless steel from the Cybertruck. So this is genius, and this is exactly what I was excited about when I first saw the design of the Cybertruck. But I really want to know, they're going to have to get really creative and fun about the doors, because they're going to slap onto the outside, but notice we all know how the doors function. There's like a button in that column, so either they're going to have to rewire that button out to their outer door, or somehow make like a mechanical lever that like fits inside of the door that actually like pushes the button or something when you actually actuate it. But so yeah, there's some challenges there for them.
Well, this is obviously renderings, right?
Right.
These aren't actual production prototypes that have been produced. They're renderings. But yes, I agree, because as you can see, they have traditional door handles, which we all know Cybertruck doesn't have that. But I mean, they can get real fancy with it and figure that all out, I'm sure. But overall, I mean, it's just, these crazy YouTubers, these YouTubers.
Yeah.
There's going to be some guys that are going to go and buy this, and that's really cool. Heavy D comes to mind, right? As somebody that is either going to buy this or he's just going to create his own crazy
it
version
looks
of this.
cool.
Whistling Diesel.
I'm just saying it looks cool, but it's kind of to me it always just kind of looks like it looks like a Cuban Missile Crisis. When kids like just hid under their desks. That's going to save them from nuclear war. I'm seeing this thing and I'm like, okay, cool. Like somebody hits it with a drone big enough. I mean, it's going to be a bad day for anybody. But I mean, it's fun.
At the end of the day, it's 100% fun.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it could withstand 762, but the tires can't. So
yeah,
it's that. But don't it's not really meant. No one's taking these into war.
Somebody is definitely just like making it so that somebody can play tactical.
That's all
it is. Hey, spend your money on what makes you happy, man.
100%.
Actually, I don't know. I think there is a market for this, because I think So, instance, I just found how much does an armored vehicle cost for civilian use? And they're estimating anywhere from 200,000 to 500,000, and then higher end vehicles can go 500 to $1 million just for the vehicle.
Oh yeah,
and this is we're talking like Secret Service level like armored vehicles, so that even if they can come in and just undercut that market by a few 100,000, I think they have something there.
No, they're going to sell them. I promise you that. It's just I guess what I'm guessing this is what Will's saying is just like, I mean, what are we really doing with this? But the people are going to, they're going to sell. And
yeah, it's going to sell.
I think it's super cool, but yeah.
I just don't realistically seeing it as a functional security opportunity or something. I don't know. The people are like,
police.
Yeah, I mean, once you start kind of getting into that, be like, okay, but then you have to worry about scalability and stuff. It's like basically you've just got a squat vehicle or something like that. I don't, I like seeing everybody explore what you can't do with these cars, and it's kind of
Same.
Given the Wade mode and all of the options, you get some bulletproof tires on there, and any other modifications you can do would be badass.
I'll tell you this right now: someone's driving this down the road, you're looking at it.
I'm turning around and leaving.
That too, huh? Like what's going on? It's like the Purge, right? This would be the perfect Purge vehicle.
Curfew is in effect. Like
switching topics a little bit. One thing that we've talked about many times is the fact how Tesla, or not even just Tesla, but just EV charging stations need to kind of incorporate a little bit more of what a traditional gas station is, where you're on major intersections, corners, you're not hidden, you have a convenience store, you don't have to walk to a McDonald's or whatever the case may be. It's all in the location that you're at. And so apparently the first Tesla diner and drive-in is nearing completion in Los Angeles, which is super cool. something that I have said in the past, where I think that a supercharger or charging station should be like a movie drive-in. Where you're playing a movie or a TV show or whatever the case is, and you're able to sit in your car, you're able to see the screen, you kind of have a whole experience behind you stopping to charge, and then you can get some food or turn it into something. And I know we saw Rivian come out with their first it's slipping my mind the name that they're calling it, but their outpost, I think it was
the
called.
outpost,
up by Yosemite. I think that's really cool. There's games for kids. It has a rustic look. They're really just diving into it, right?
Yeah.
And I like that, rather than having 8 charging stations in a parking garage. I like the idea of making it a full experience.
Someone call Guy Fieri. On this episode of Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives.
Yeah, I love him. I love his food too. He's great. But that's so that's exciting. And to be honest with you, I'm excited about this. I would love. Will and I talked about doing, being on location when they open and maybe doing a podcast or something. That would be awesome. So if there's anybody out there in Tesla, Chase,
little help.
Get us in over there, So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But other than that, guys, all I got left is the wrap of the week, which I think is one of the more playful and unique.
So, knows what's coming.
So,
oh man,
somebody wrapped their Cybertruck with the Hulk.
Super cool. Get the Avengers together.
Just imagine driving and you look in your rearview mirror and you see this behind you. Now, I wouldn't be able to do that because my rearview mirror sucks, and doesn't have a purpose. But it just,
you're like, why are you here?
At you. It's like, what is this? Away. So it's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at the side
as it drives by.
Ooh,
there we go. It's not too bad.
It's unique, one I know, to say the least. So, this is the wrap of the week.
Are those the only two picks?
As always, I love the fact that people are having fun with their wraps and
I don't mean to be controversial, but like I said, I'm a little high right now. But I did, for some reason, it ran through my head looking at this thing and be like, man, I hope that Make-A-Wish kid really enjoyed this. It just, I don't know who would drive that around. I'm like, man, some kid is so thrilled he got Cybertruck and Hulk all in one.
Yeah.
You gotta go to the Facebook.
Oh God.
The Facebook link in right there. It's right there.
The Hulk.
Oh, this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tokyo Drift. Wasn't that was the Fast and Furious with the kid who had like a tricked out car looking like Hulk, the Hulk?
All right, here
Bow
we go.
Wow.
This is what this controversy is about. There you go. The main photo.
There we go.
It's a little too veiny for my taste
so
on the
vascular.
side.
It just looks like somebody just. It looks like something. This looks like. Okay, and then it's spelled. The veininess spells out Cybertruck. Get that out of here, dude! Oh my God.
I mean, the front's great.
The front is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has an American flag in the back.
Yeah, that doesn't save it. That doesn't
on the wrong things.
That doesn't help it.
It falls away to the veins.
People are always like, "How do I explain this to my children?" I'm like looking at this thing, like, "How do I explain that to my kids?" I'm like, "Why is it Cybertruck veiny?"
I would have put that on the front and then did like a different color on the sides or something.
Yeah.
Or put the back, instead of having the American flag, of having his like pants. Just like
the purple or something.
Yeah.
Whoever's got this, what they do is they pull up to a red light behind a Civic or something with a lower wheelbase. Put it into extract mode. Get the hood and the mouth right in their windshield, so that when they look into the rear view, all they see is Hulk's big, and then hit it with some extra lights and like hit the foreign. It's like ah.
That's funny. It actually reminds me. I'll steal your just the tip. If you're at a stoplight and you put the Cybertruck in high mode, what will happen is you notice that it saves the geolocation of when you put it into high. Yeah. So any other time you actually come to stop at the stoplight, now you'll actually see a little raising based off of location. So it'll actually raise up the high when you're stopping at the stoplight. Yeah. So I've been slowly like adding all of the stoplights around my neighborhood.
Does it intimidate everybody?
Yeah. So I could be as high as possible at the stoplight, because you never know. You're gonna be stopped next to like a F-250 with people that are like working and doing hard shit, and you don't want to feel like lower.
Oh, yeah, it's funny because I filmed a video the other day, and I was filming it with another YouTuber, Cobra Todia. Shout out to him. And we were talking about that, and I was talking about how, whenever I get to stops and a big truck pulls up next to me, I'm always like, do I raise it? Do I raise it just to show him? But then I go, the answer's yes. Then he's going, oh, what are you insecure about? Why do you feel like you got to raise it in front of me? So I kind of just leave it. But what you're saying is actually smart. You just go and every light near my house, I just kind of auto generate that. So
it's a fun talking point if you ever like come to like a stoplight and someone rolls out the window. You're talking about, oh yeah, it would like do and it could do this, and you hit the button, it goes, whoop, and you're like, whoa,
yeah,
because it can go higher than that. Like it's kind of sad that we can't drive higher. Although I noticed even just last couple of days, people have been talking about driving in off-road mode on the road, which is possible.
That's what I do.
And then you can drive at high and very high, at least up onto.
That's what I told Cobra, because he was upset because he goes, you can't drive it when it's all the way up. And I said, if you put it in Baja mode, you can drive it in very high.
100%.
And he goes, but like you could actually drive it like at highway speed. I said, yeah, I go on the freeway. I'm driving 80 miles per hour.
I jumped it at 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone, I saw someone today actually tagged Wes and asked about that. They're like, hey, what's the negatives of driving off-road on the street? And he hasn't responded yet, but it was a big enough influencer that I'm hoping that they see it.
I'm pretty sure the main one is just wheels. Like it just tears up your tires quicker.
More tension at higher speeds.
I think it's a suspension, to be honest with you, because it's so stiff at that point because it's fully extended, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the human body. They say most sport injuries happen when you're fully extended. Right, you're reaching out for something, or your leg is spread out. I don't know about you boys,
but it's when I do my best work, I don't know.
That's true.
But that's also Will, who's what were you squatting or leg pressing?
You doing leg
pounds or whatever?
No, I did it twice. I did quads one day and hamstrings the next day. So, but the quad day, I was supposed to set up the leg press machine to do 465, and I accidentally set it up for 515. And that was right after doing 325 squats.
Little humble brag.
Squats. Hey, I don't got much going for me these days, so I try to take my wins and celebrate them. A little trophy. Be like, hey man, if I can hit the 1,000 pound club by like combining squats and leg press and some other nonsense, then I'll do it.
I will say though, you can't, even in Baja mode, you can't actually run full speed in extract, so it won't actually let you go like pretty fast in extract. I don't know what it tops out at. I would assume like 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, very high is plenty enough.
I'll check it tomorrow.
All right, and then also for throwing back to earlier, so the Mustang Mach-E is a 70 kilowatt hour battery pack versus the Model Y's 75. So you've got a 5 kilowatt hour smaller battery, but you've got like over 100 miles less range. That's what I'm talking about when you've got these legacy makers that are just like, slap a motor in there, slap a battery in there, and it'll do great. It's like, no, there's efficiencies to the power distributions into the motors that define the efficiency for the entire for the functionality of the car. And the fact that all these other companies, whenever you see with some of these cars, I think, the range in the VW, the ID Buzz, I think that they just showed was just like, it's still like under 200 miles or like right at 200 miles. I'm like, you don't get it, man. Like, you're not going to skimp away from this. People are, you can't try to pretend that, a weaker powered motor is better for you or something like that. People want the utility of what the foundation of the vehicle is, and that's a battery with a motor strapped to it and me strapped to the top.
Just buy a Model Y, because I was curious about the price. Mach-E's are brand new. They're still like over 40,000. They're 42, 45, something like that.
Oh, and then
yeah.
Sorry, not to tack it on to the end of the conversation. I know we did FSD way earlier. I've also messed around with the Mach-E with Ford's driver assist program. And I am confident in saying this. I've seen a lot of argument. I know Zach at Jerry Rig Everything. He's mentioned repeatedly the fact that Ford's Blue Cruise is considered a level 3 autonomy because it doesn't require driver input, physical driver input. But that's because it has. I took pictures of it. I should have. If anybody wants to see it, we'll post it on the YouTube page. But there's basically just a little IR blaster thing with 2 cameras right behind the steering wheel, like on the steering column, and it watches your eyes. And if you're not looking at the road, you get a nag. So yeah, Tesla has the physical nag. The Mustang Mach-E has, or the Ford Blue Cruise has a visual nag. So there is no physical contact, but you still need to stay engaged as the driver. There's just no physical. That's literally the only thing wedging it into level 3. And I'm kind of disappointed that some of the YouTube guys have been like, no, it's definitely level 3. Be like, you're saying that like it does something better. They don't. They do the exact same thing on the highway. They stay in the lane, and it's getting a little bit better here and there, that for the things that aren't Tesla. But anyway,
someone's in their pocket.
Yeah, it's just one of those. It's just one of those. Like, you're being disingenuous. I get it that technicality, you can say it's a level 3, but it's like, yeah, technicality. I mean, Wi-Fi speeds are supposed to be X or Y. You don't get them, or this or that. It's like, it's the real world practicality sometimes limits things. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, they're pretty much on the same page as far as the lane guidance is. But I didn't see anything too groundbreaking in the Blue Cruise, and you still can't. It doesn't make surface street lane changes or turns, anything like that. So Tesla's still winning the game on that one.
Yeah, go buy a Model Y. Do you still get the 2% APR?
Yeah,
super cheap.
The steal is the Model 3. I still believe that. I mean, they have the new 363 mile range for after the incentives, 35,000.
Comparable to.
You can't beat that. And then the performance is crazy. So, but all right, guys, that's all I got for today. Appreciate it. Thank you to everybody in chat. Mitch, Jay, Hugo, Bradley, everybody who joined us today. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week. And I promise, we will be on X next week. It was a long day. I apologize.
Look at it on there.
You don't even know the half of it. All right. Later, guys.
Cool. Deal.